What's up, guys? Sub-Zeric here, and look, I'll talk about it from the Americas point of view first, and then we can get to the real focus of this video. But if you're an Americas fan of TFT, today is a sad day. For the first time since the Galaxies Championship, we do not have an Americas player in the final lobby. I went back and checked every single World Championship because, a lot of these I was barely playing. But Galaxies, the first championship ever, actually, we did not have an Americas player in the final lobby. Everyone since then, we've had one in the final lobby, and obviously we've won a few. We have done very, very well at multiple World Championships. But even fates, we had Ram Kev in the top 3, even Reckoning. We had Delicious Milk GG in the top 3, and Milk tried to get to the final lobby. It was so close, 65 points with the cutoff being 66, and then Spencer being at 64. It was such a close finish. But no one from the Americas in the final lobby, and then Bio and Dank Memes just also barely coming up short. So it's a sad day for Americas, but it's a very, very happy day. Let's transition to talk about what region I do really want to hype up. That is APAC. APAC had a disgustingly good performance. YBY1 being first overall, Gear Pion Me in second, Balmayon in third, Title in fifth, and Midfeed in seventh. 5 out of the top 8 are going to be APAC. So it's looking quite likely that we might have our not our first APAC world champion, because Title has won before, and maybe in some of the old world championships. Not, I think. Yeah, I mean Fates. Yeah, I don't think we've had. No, I mean HA Walking as well. Yeah. Also, in what we call APAC essentially, and then after that, it's just been like China and NA pretty much, and then Title in there. So yeah, would not be the first win for APAC if someone from APAC won. But if YBY1 wins, if Gear Pion Me wins, we could see the first win for a region. And that's really what I'm talking about here in this video. Is APAC did disgustingly well. Actually, I do want to just, before we go too far, also show just regional AVP. Disgustingly good. 4.02 is their regional ABP, completely gapping everyone else. I will say there is also a saving grace, is that Americas is second in overall AVP. So, we at least can hold on to that. We did a lot better than China. It was a huge collapse out of China, a really, really rough tourney for China. So I think, a lot of Chinese players, at least they have somebody in the final lobby to point to. But pretty crazy that China had that performance, which means actually if China doesn't pop off, if the Chinese player in this final lobby does not pop off tomorrow, then China's going to lose a world slot for next year, which is kind of crazy. But the big focus, APAC did very, very, very well. But APAC right now, I wouldn't say it's completely being carried, but the Vietnamese players, Midfeed and YBY1, had insane performances this tourney. YBY1, I've talked about this player before, called him potentially the best player in the world, and he might, I did a video saying, is this the next world champion? He very, very well might be the next world champion. If you were looking at the scores, he was far and away #1. He played a fantastic tournament, so I just wanted to watch some more YBY1, see how he even got here. This is the last game of the final day, and it's a spatula portal, which is quite interesting because it makes things very, very high variance. So he's looking at his stats so far and saying, okay, what can I actually build from here? First augment here. Don't really want to take this Renan's augment. It doesn't work very well with spatula. There's just not any really strong craftable spat in that comp. And then Clear Mind's just not a great augment. We do actually have the opportunity to take a wow, this is actually really, really interesting because we're gonna do the scout around here. I think a lot of people would potentially look at this this middle augment here, the learning to spell in this spot. Also, hey, no, we are not going down to 480p, man. Give me the 1080. My internet is good enough to support this. There we go. But yeah, I think a lot of people would look at the learning to spell. But YBY1, I've talked about his play so many times in TFT. He's really somebody. Ooh, this is actually kind of rough because we don't actually have the clutter for this round if we lose it. And yeah, we are going to lose this, so no cluttered mind for this round. But YBY1 is someone who marches to the beat of his own drum. That's the phrase I was trying to think of. He is always down to play lines like this. Like with Cluttered Mind, we are very, very much in a reroll type meta. I think this is an augment that a lot of people would just not touch because, it means that you're essentially not able to play reroll. But in YBY1 spot, it makes a decent amount of sense, right? We know we're going to play towards like a +1 from a spat. There's a lot of actually fast 8 comps that work pretty well with the +1 from the spat. So, if there were a lobby to take it, this would be the one. And YBY1 really likes this kind of play style of just playing tempo, playing a strong board. but ideally win streaking, though he doesn't actually have a really good slam in this spot here. So actually not much of a win streak at this spot so far. But we'll see. We'll see what YBY1 can cook this game. Once again, this is a game I kind of like saw from another POV, and it was pretty crazy. So I'm hyped to VOD review the entire thing. But yeah, I mean, just I will say, I think going forward, I got to do a lot more VOD reviews of Vietnamese players. I think, I wouldn't say that I've been sleeping on Vietnam as a region. I would say I'm one of the people who has done more VOD reviews and, watched more Vietnamese players. A lot of YBY1, but some other players like Piva as well. And I would say, I've done more of that than most other people. I think a lot of people, especially those who aren't like in the know, went into this tourney saying like, you know what, is APAC even good? Is this region even good? And I will say, when I did my pick'ems, I put APAC as the #1 region because I think they're far and away the strongest region. Part of it is because the way that the APAC circuit works, there's a lot of different regions combined within APAC. There's Japan, there's Korea, there's Vietnam, and like, having all of those solid regions and taking just the best, just the best individual players. You get to have title, and then you don't have to have any of the other players from Japan because, a lot of these regions are very top heavy. Title is a fantastic player, a world champion, one of the best players in the world. The other players from Japan, I mean, no flame, but the other players from Japan are not that great. If Japan had to send like 4 Worlds reps, then I think APAC would have worse performances. But when you send just the best of the best, you get a really kind of interesting, quote unquote region that's the combination of all of these different countries that does fantastically at World Championships, and I project them to continue to do well. So I'm hyped maybe next set to do even more YBY1 VOD reviews. I mean, I think after this World Championship performance, even if he were not to win, even if I fully expect what's going to happen is YBY1 tomorrow's checkmate format, of course, YBY1 to come out to like a big early lead, to be an absolute beast. And then the thing is, at the end of the day, it's checkmate format. It's anybody's game. So, if YBY1 gets to a really far ahead point lead, but then he just doesn't get that high roll that gets him over the finish line, and say 60, actually I don't think 60-second is in the, yeah, but say somebody else ends up winning the tournament, I will still say that I think, if you look at YBY1's performance across this tournament, he seems far and away the best player in the entire tournament. So just always a treat to watch him. This is a crazy spot because YBY1, pretty soon he has to kind of pick his direction here, right? There's a lot of different angles that you could go in this spot. You have, potentially Witchcraft spat craftable. You have potentially Portal spat craftable. I'm really just kind of gonna let YBY do his own thing here, and I don't want to overanalyze in this spot because yeah, I think like he makes the Witchcraft spat here because he knows he definitely wants to have Witchcraft in when he goes into his augment check here, and his slams look quite nice for this. You get to make the Edge of Night in the blue buff for Fiora. You get to make a Titan's Resolve as well, and then you get to hold these components open as well. You have really good Fiora items and really good Karma items, so really good idea from YBY1 here. And the game only gets crazier from here. You can see when we look at these augments, boom, it is an insta pick from YBY1, the Trait Tracker. This is an augment that we've talked about before. It's a difficult augment to play, statistically. If you go, the higher you go in elo, the better stats it goes, and, reverse as well. I have a big sneeze coming. But yeah, as you get higher in elo, people understand how to play around this augment, and what could be higher elo than the World Championship. So it's always a treat to see how good players play around this augment. We only have 3 traits in right now, but Zoe tends to be a really good unit to have with this because she's triple trait. You really just want a lot of triple trait units ideally. I think, did we sell the Rumble actually? Because Rumble tends to be another, yeah, we did sell the Rumble. Rumble tends to be another really good unit because he's also triple trait. You can bridge a lot of gaps with stuff like Bard. Bard, Rumble, Zoe is a really good core. And YBY1, he's kind of puzzling it out in his mind right now, saying, okay, I have 4 traits in here. I need to get some more in. Obviously, the extra Witchcraft units you can think about cutting, but like, what are you going to cut? Because, if you cut, like Nico also fits pretty well. This Nico, Zoe plus Jace combination fits pretty well, I think. And then you put Galio in for Portal. This is kind of similar to the Robin Songs VOD review we did actually a while back, who went a similar path down cashing this out. All right, item here, we're gonna pick up the Fiora just to guarantee Fiora. Also glove, not bad as far as Fiora itemization goes, though I think we had a sword open, so I don't know. I mean, I guess you could go with JG if you really like have to. It's also kind of interesting. He made the blue buff, and I was thinking, well, blue buff Karma is very good, but it's Witchcraft +1. Do we really want to be playing Karma? I mean, I guess we'll see. We'll see what Mr. YBY goes for here. But yeah, I think the route that Robin took was this core of units that we were talking about, and then he threw in a Rumble and a Bard to get in both Scholar and Sugarcraft and Vanguard. That's +3 traits on this board, I believe. Yeah. And then he just needed to get like +1 in, which, could be here. It could be like Warrior. And you would just have to cut out the units that aren't really doing anything here. Obviously, the second Nico is not doing much. Obviously, this Fiora is not doing much. I guess if you cut Fiora, then you couldn't get Warrior in, but you could get, something else in, theoretically. But yeah, he's actually just going to play 6 Witch right now. He's not even, I mean, what YBY is concerned for, I think this is actually really, really smart by him, is he's just saying, you know what? Until I get this cash out of the Trait Tracker, I'm just going to play my strongest board, which I mean is obvious in terms of like, yeah, you should always play your strongest board in TFT, but it's not easy because I think a lot of people kind of like slowly build up their boards in spots like this and say, okay, I'm going to slowly like transition into the board that I need. This is not an easy thing to do, to full pivot your board here into what's going to cash up for Trait Tracker. I don't even know when YBY is going to have time to do this here because it's just mind melting, and he's selling a lot of these other units. Wow, this is wild. Actually, makes the Sterax great item onto the Fiora here. But yeah, when are we cashing out Trait Tracker? I mean, this feels like such a YBY type game where he's just going to play just really, really close to the edge. The VOD that I reviewed from him a few days ago when I was talking about how good he was, played right up to the edge with that a Golden Quest game in the scrims for the World Championship. I feel like YBY is just, he's always a player who is absolutely completely fearless. That's what I said in my VOD review, and it's completely true. All right, next augment here. I mean, reinforcement you don't really need. I assume you just take solid combat here, like Avenge the Fallen or something like that. But we'll see here. I mean, ooh, potions 201 looks great. We already have the 1 witchcraft +1, so I think this makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I mean, we're 8 now, but when are we going to cash this out? He's holding onto these Heckrooms potentially. There's a Gwen that fits in for a plus a couple of traits. Okay, he's getting Briar here. Hits Fiora too. So we're hitting a lot of great stuff, but where's the Trait Tracker coming in? I guess he must have a version of the board in mind that he wants to play with Vertical Witchcraft. I mean, it would be relatively easy to potentially take out a couple of witches for a round that aren't adding any like plus synergies. You could cut like the Cassiopeia and the and the Poppy, and then you would just need 2 units that provide 3 synergies. I just don't know what those are. It could be, but it can't be Bard plus. Is there something else that Bard can play with? There's the Bard finally, like we were talking about. Okay, so then yeah, we just need a Cup Poppy. We just need a Cup Poppy for 1 synergy here. Beautiful. Get the Zillion in here. Yeah. Oh, the Bard is Sugarcraft with the Gwen that we have in, of course. So that's wow. Okay, and this was always he was thinking. He was saying, what, Bard's gonna add another 2 synergies to this board, and then I just need 1 more synergy after that. So, oh, actually 3 synergies. Yeah, with the now that we have the well, I mean, we got the 3rd synergy by putting Zillion in. So yeah, I mean, beautiful cash out from YY1. He did not overcomplicate it. He played his strongest board until he got there, and then he always like this is. Especially when you're at the World Championships, when this is, the final game that can qualify you to Worlds, there is a lot of nerves. I was watching the Frodenko stream. They were watching Milk's game, and, Milk made some kind of like uncharacteristic errors just because, he was very, very, I would say nervous. Anyone in this spot is going to be nervous. So we get our traits here. We have a Sugarcraft +1, which isn't like amazing. I don't know if we want to play Gwen forever. Kind of some trash here so far. Like the Mage +1's not amazing. Chrono +1, a second Witchcraft +1 is disgusting though, and Chrono +1 is really, really good. And we do still have this Reforger here, so we can reforge a lot of the bad ones. And also, he's so good, man. Like, not only is he looking at all of his emblems here and trying to figure out which ones he wants and which ones he doesn't want. Second Chrono +1 here, by the way. The other ones in Cantor and Blaster are not amazing, but I mean, we can live with that. But he's like, I don't want to understate how crazy it is what he did last round, where he was looking at all of those emblems, processing what he was getting from those emblems, and then also pivoting his board, realizing that he could pivot in Briar into the board. Now he has 4 Chrono on this board with the Zillion, who just fits in really, really nice. We have 3 in Cantor in, actually, hilariously, with the Karma. And yeah, I mean, I think it makes perfect sense to actually play a Karma version this time, which also, like, not to understate that as well, making the call that I need to play around Karma this game because I made blue buff and because we got the double Chrono +1 and the Incantor +1. It makes perfect sense. And I think, I mean, just beautiful. But like, it almost like, I think I I'm trying not to understate how crazy this type of gameplay is, but it's like it's still like almost it's hard. Like I think watching this game, you might see this and be like, well, yeah, obviously, you'd play Chrono, and obviously you would do this, and obviously you would do that, and like it's so easy. But even just little stuff like this, making sure his items are in the right spot, moving Witchcraft and Chrono over to the Briar here, which is great. He has to end up actually gumblading the Zillion here, and I mean, this makes sense, right? Gunblade is probably the worst damage item that we have out of all of these. But yeah, just doing this so smoothly, this transition, which is probably the one of the hardest transitions you can make in all of TFT. And also, even just look at that. He saw Camille in shop and he said, you know what? I don't care about Camille. Who cares about Camille on this board? Because like, how am I actually fitting Camille on this board? I have Chrono +2. I'm always playing Karma and I'm always playing Zillion. So why even care about the Camille? I think a ton of people would also get like baited by the Camille here and say like, oh, maybe I should play Camille and try to get to like 6 Chrono or something. Why immediately? Like that's another thing that great players do is he understands what's a high roll and what's not, and he immediately like, sees that Camille and completely removes it from his brain. He says, you know what, who cares about the Camille? I mean, who needs the Camille here? Finally picks up the Morgana. The second he sees Morgana, boom, that's a pivot into 8 Witchcraft. He already knew what he was doing, and then of course he's already got it figured out, moved the Gunblade over. It's just flawless. It's just flawless play. And I think, we did the VOD review of Dish Soap last time, and we talked about how he was doing quite a good job of like min-maxing the Bastion augment, where he was making sure that it was on the Lilia every round, but he even missed it one round onto the Lilia. And I wonder, if YBY1 had played that game. Also, this is another Witchcraft +1, which is just disgusting here. We don't even really need it. There's no 10 Witchcraft to play for. I think they added it as a chase trait next patch for the 4 fun patch, but sadly, we're not in the 4 fun patch yet, so we can't go for that. Yeah, I mean, Witchcraft on the Gwen seems great that we get to do for this. He also, oh my god, just the... okay, he didn't actually remake any more items because he took the Salvager here, right, and moved the Gunblade over to Gwen, which is just perfect. And then Shapeshifter Emblem over to Morgana is perfect as well. But, I half expected him to take Salvager and just like remake all of his items and make something insane. Like this level of APM, this level of just like quick thinking from YBY1 is just disgustingly good. I mean, it's just you can see why, he was the first place overall placer of all, obviously this game he got to a good spot, but I think there's a lot of players, even players potentially at the World Championship, where you would have handed them this spot and they would be like 1 life here, and if they fight someone really strong, they'd be dead, or maybe they would already be dead because they wouldn't have played their strongest board, then they would have got too dizzy. Like YY1 is truly a beast, and I will, I've lost all of my NA players to root for on the final day, and America's really, I would have definitely rooted for SoBio if he had have made it, but I've lost all my America's players to root for, but I am stamping my claim here. I am absolutely 1,000,000,000% rooting for YBY1 tomorrow to pop off, because I think he deserves it more than anyone, I would say. And also just that would be the first, like I said, the first Worlds win for Vietnam, which I think would be so deserved. Adaptive Helm here onto the Morgana, another beautiful min-max. Don't put Morgana on the 2nd row, put her on the 3rd row, because you want her to get that adaptive helm mana generation. Like, I feel like every tiny little thing, he just doesn't miss anything. And I think, it's so... Yeah, I've said it too many times, this VOD review, but it's so easy to watch the VOD and be like, well, yeah, obviously you move the Morg down, but when you have all of these little things, picking charms, doing this, all of those things going through your head, it's so hard to do all of those individual things perfectly. And he's just, I don't think he made a mistake this game. I don't think YBY1 a single time this game took the wrong component, took the wrong augment, or even small stuff, mispositioned, didn't play his strongest board for a single round. The second he found that bard, he got that in and cashed out his Trait Tracker, and he knew immediately, like before he even had the bard, what he was going to do. He found the Gwen and immediately like realized that that was the line that he was going to take in order to cash out his Trait Tracker. And there's the Morgana too, which just, it's too easy. This is actually cool. He moves the Morgana up now that he has Morg 2 to give her the armor and MR, because he's like, who cares about, like now she's tanky enough. We don't need to put her in the 3rd row. We can just put her in the 1st row and make her like a true tank. I mean, I think that makes perfect sense. Everything he does, like I can't for a second be like, why did he do that? That seems a little weird. Like every little play is so nice, and it's not even close, man. Balmyong stuck on level 8, and it's just a giga stomp here. YBY1 closing the lobby up early, making it look easy. So I can't wait to watch 5v1 tomorrow. You know, at the end of the day, I'll probably do a VOD review of whoever wins Worlds. I hope that that's YBY won because I think he absolutely deserves it. But we do have a crazy final lobby tomorrow. Like I said, just fantastic players. You know, shout out to EMEA having 2 people in the final lobby, even though the regional AVP is worse than North America's. I mean, sometimes you get lucky, and you know, like shout outs to EMA. You know, somebody's got you got to get lucky at some point, right? It's because, you know, yeah. I mean, you have to make final lobby if you're from. Okay, no flame, no flame. They got us potentially. The better of us. I mean, we're AVP, but 2 people in final lobby. How does that happen? Well, it happens because we had like Black Sheep go out and Bobster go out, and yeah, okay, we won't look at it too much. But thank you guys for watching this video. As usual, I will see you guys tomorrow for a VOD review of Worlds, and then ooh, shoot, I need to do a VOD review of Worlds, but obviously Set 13 is getting announced tomorrow, so perhaps we'll see some content from Set 13. Oh, who is even to say? All right, I will see you guys later. Goodbye.